Most people imagine explosions and headlines, but the real danger starts quietly. Systems stall, information vanishes, and panic spreads fast. The first 24 hours separate preparation from chaos. Hour 0 to 2, the shock before the storm. When a major global conflict begins, the first thing most civilians experience is not immediate danger, but sudden uncertainty. News notifications begin stacking on screens. Live broadcasts interrupt regular programming. Financial apps show sharp movements before explanations fully form. The atmosphere shifts in minutes, even if daily life around the neighborhood still looks normal. That contrast between alarming headlines and unchanged surroundings creates mental friction. During these first 2 hours, confusion spreads faster than verified information. Social platforms overflow with opinions, predictions, and dramatic interpretations. Some reports contradict each other, others exaggerate details without context. For the average household, this creates a dangerous emotional loop. The brain searches for clarity, but the more information it consumes, the less certain everything feels. This stage is where emotional discipline matters most. The individuals who pause and assess carefully instead of reacting immediately gain a long-term advantage. Staying calm does not mean ignoring the situation. It means resisting the urge to act impulsively without confirmation. Checking reliable news sources at measured intervals rather than constantly refreshing updates protects mental clarity. In these early hours, infrastructure often continues functioning. Lights stay on, water runs normally, transportation may still operate. That temporary normalcy can lull people into complacency. At the same time, behind the scenes, institutions begin recalculating strategies. Airlines reassess routes, financial institutions adjust risk models, governments prepare official statements. The visible calm hides rapid movement in the background. The first 2 hours are rarely chaotic physically, but they are emotionally intense. Managing that emotional surge determines how well the next phases are handled. Hour 2 to 6, the rush for security. As official statements confirm escalating tensions, behavior changes quickly. Grocery stores become busier. Fuel stations see longer lines. Online retailers show delayed delivery windows. The reaction is not always based on actual shortage, but on perceived risk. When people observe others stocking up, that observation triggers urgency. Supply chains are designed for steady demand, not sudden spikes. Shelves can empty faster than restocking systems can respond. The sight of thinning inventory amplifies concern. Concern drives more aggressive purchasing. Within a short window, an environment that felt stable hours earlier begins to feel uncertain. Financial systems also start showing visible strain. Market volatility affects retirement accounts and savings balances. Online banking platforms may slow due to increased traffic. These visible signals deepen anxiety because money represents security for many households. Watching financial numbers fluctuate without clear context creates emotional pressure. The smartest response during this phase is restraint. Avoiding crowded stores unless absolutely necessary reduces exposure to tension and conflict. Households that already maintain basic supplies avoid joining reactive waves. That preparation protects both resources and emotional stability. If this type of clear-headed breakdown helps you think beyond headlines, subscribe now to stay ahead of the noise and focus on what actually matters. As hours pass, the focus shifts from physical goods to information reliability. Hour 6 to 12, information gaps and trust fractures. By the middle of the first day, communication becomes the central issue. Official updates may slow as authorities verify details. At the same time, independent sources continue broadcasting rapidly. The difference in pace creates suspicion. When updates feel delayed, people assume information is being withheld. Communication networks may experience congestion as millions attempt to contact family members. Messages fail to send immediately, calls drop. Even minor delays increase anxiety because connectivity feels less dependable. That uncertainty encourages speculation, which spreads faster than confirmation. Trust becomes fragile during this window. Some individuals rely entirely on official statements, others reject them completely. The gap between those perspectives widens community tension. Conversations become emotionally charged because everyone interprets events through different filters. Maintaining emotional control during this stage requires intentional limits on information intake. Continuous exposure to dramatic commentary exhausts the mind without improving understanding. Setting specific times to check updates preserves focus. Outside of those windows, maintaining routine activities protects mental balance. Community behavior begins to stabilize or destabilize depending on leadership and communication. Calm neighborhoods form informal support networks. Other areas amplify rumor cycles. The difference often depends on how individuals choose to respond rather than on the severity of events themselves. As the second half of the day approaches, economic and movement patterns shift more visibly. Hour 12 to 18, financial tremors and movement decisions. Around the halfway mark of the first 24 hours, financial tremors become more noticeable. Markets may pause trading temporarily to reduce volatility. Currency exchange rates fluctuate. Businesses reassess operations and may temporarily close offices out of caution. These adjustments ripple outward quickly. Transportation systems react as well. Airlines cancel routes. Train schedules adjust. Highway congestion increases as some families attempt relocation without clear plans. Movement fueled by uncertainty often creates additional complications. Traffic delays waste fuel and increase stress. Hotels near major cities fill rapidly as travelers attempt to reposition. This stage exposes how interconnected modern life truly is. Events in one region influence supply lines across continents. Fuel pricing shifts. Shipping schedules delay. Retail restocking slows. The average household begins feeling indirect effects even without immediate local disruption. The most effective approach during this period is structured patience. Rather than reacting to every new development, focus on maintaining stability within the home. Prepare simple meals, keep hydration consistent. Limit unnecessary travel. Avoiding impulsive relocation preserves resources and reduces exposure to unpredictable environments. Structure becomes a protective tool. When daily routines continue in modified form, emotional stability increases. Emotional stability allows better long-term planning rather than short-term panic. As evening approaches, psychological pressure intensifies. Hour 18 to 24, emotional fatigue and community shifts. By the final stretch of the first day, exhaustion begins setting in. Continuous news exposure, financial uncertainty, and visible behavioral changes create mental strain. Sleep becomes difficult because the brain remains alert for updates. Conversations circle around worst case scenarios rather than practical steps. This emotional fatigue can be more destabilizing than physical disruption. When clarity is absent, imagination fills the gaps. Imagined outcomes often appear more extreme than verified information. The longer uncertainty continues, the heavier it feels. Community response during this stage solidifies patterns that may last beyond the first day. Some neighborhoods organize simple communication systems to share verified updates. Others withdraw into isolation and mistrust. Leadership at the household level influences these patterns significantly. Calm conversations and respectful coordination strengthen collective stability. Maintaining routine during this phase becomes critical. Turning off constant news before sleep protects mental health. Planning practical actions for the following morning restores a sense of direction. Even small preparations, such as organizing supplies or reviewing contingency plans, reinforce control. The first 24 hours rarely look like cinematic chaos. Instead, they are defined by shifting information, economic tremors, supply chain hesitation, and emotional reactions. The households that adapt through discipline rather than impulse navigate this period with greater clarity. The opening day of large-scale global conflict is less about dramatic visuals and more about interconnected systems adjusting under stress. Information becomes fragmented. Markets respond rapidly. Supply chains hesitate. Communities react based on perception as much as reality. What determines stability during these hours is not strength or speed, but discipline. Controlled information intake, thoughtful resource management, and consistent routines protect households from emotional escalation. Panic spreads quickly, but calm behavior spreads just as effectively. Consider honestly how the first 24 hours would unfold in your environment. Would reactions follow headlines, or would preparation guide decisions? The answer to that question shapes not only the first day, but every day that follows.